The first one is 23 years old. He has 2 years left on his contract. Tyson Bagent from the Chicago Bears. A lot of uncertainty right now with draft season. A lot of people thinking, is Justin Fields going to stay, go? To me, I'm not really worried about that. What my hunch is here for Tyson Bagent, I should say, is that he's probably looked good enough, and he's 23 years old right off the bat to come in and do well. I think he's earned himself a spot, whether it be if the Bears, with injury or on another team.
So I think this past season really shows, especially if you're in a super flex, you've got a pretty deep league, that these backup quarterbacks are more and more valuable than you ever thought. These guys, some of them showed up really well, and that only helps them when a free agency opportunity opens up for them. And maybe they fall into another spot for a team that maybe their quarterback is a little more injury prone, or maybe they go in trying to fight for a spot, right? Because every team's always looking for that next star.
In our second guy at the quarterback position, who's basically free right now, he had 1,900 passing yards, 12 touchdowns, 7 picks. He had some really good games down the stretch for the Bengals, and they're probably not going to bring back this guy in any likelihood to start with Joe Burrow there. But Jake Browning, do you think we can see him in a different uniform and provide some value to another team?
It's possible. I will say this. I think Cincy brings him back because of one of two things. One, he knows this offense really well. Two, he showed value. And actually, really, if you wanted a third, I hate to say it, but Burrow's had some issues with some injuries, in his early career. Browning was really impressive. He had top 10 QB performances 6 times last season. I think he does resign. I mean, it's smart. He definitely earned money. I can tell you that. I think he's going to definitely cost a lot more than he had anticipated. And yeah, there are probably some teams that might go after him. He is a little bit older. He's 27, but I think with his ability to, again, he knows his offense. I think he knows the personnel. He's a great backup at this point. There's no reason for Cincy to let him go.
We're going to move into our running backs. First one I want to talk about, a little high on own percentage. He was a big touted prospect last year, probably mostly due to his play role as a passing back. He did well at Oklahoma. And then we saw him get drafted to the Giants behind Saquon Barkley, and that's Eric Gray. I feel like this is a guy who was really picked early last year in rookie drafts, but the Sterling kind of rusted a little bit, right? He didn't really get a shot. He was injured. Saquon, right now, his status is up in the air. He could go somewhere else, which would make Eric Gray an immediate pickup.
Yeah, so of the running backs we're going to talk about, Eric Gray is the only one that I have any really vote of confidence in because of the fact that Saquon is most likely gone. They're going to probably tag him again. And we saw how that kind of went this past offseason. But Eric Gray, I think, can beat out Breda, who's the backup running back technically to Saquon. And he could potentially be, a nice little RB1A or 1B, 1B, depending if they go after another veteran or something like that. Because realistically, this rookie class is nothing to be really super excited about.
Steve, if you had to pick one or two guys out of this tier to improve on their fantasy stock, who would it be?
I'm going Kendre Miller. I love what this kid was able to do coming from TCU. And he wasn't drafted in the perfect scenario, right? I think they drafted him because of the whole, Kamara, Alvin Kamara situation. They weren't sure what was going to happen. Obviously the suspension, blah, 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 right? Of course, New Orleans decided to throw a wrench in and go after Jamal Williams. But Kendre Miller, I think, has the ability to become easily the running back too. And of course, who knows what's going to happen with Kamara? Again, this Saints team has got to figure out their salary cap. Do they trade Kamara? Do they keep him? Do they restructure his contract? What do they do with him, right? Alvin Kamara has never been a 1,000-yard back. Kendre Miller can be a 1,000-yard back. That's the type of ability he has. So when you're talking startup draft, Kendre Miller, you can get in a late round. He's going to be somebody who's going to be a future potential starter in a year or two. That's kind of the expectation for him.
Right now, we're going to move into the wide receiver position. Terrace Marshall, the first name that comes to mind. I've heard his name in a lot of potential trade talk. Hey, this guy could be great if he goes to X, Y, or Z. I'm not really too sure about that. He really hasn't shown much, but I guess that he's still young. He's 23 years old, still has 1 year left on his contract. But I guess as a prospect, this guy still fits the bill. He's still a sterling prospect and definitely has upside. Do you think Terrace Marshall? Do you think he stays for this last year? Or do you think he's even on the move before that?
I think he does stay, just because of the draft capital Carolina put in. They obviously want to go young. You got Marshall, you got Mingo. You still have Thielen there. I'm sure they're going to try to go after somebody, to add some value. Maybe they go after a T. Higgins or a Mike Evans just to kind of add more value for Bryce Young in this offense. But I think Marshall definitely stays there. But he's got to show up. He's got to show up in OTAs. He's got to show up in the preseason. He's got to show why he should still be and why he was drafted where he was, to kind of help add some value to this team.
Jalen Tolbert, 24 years
Yep.
old. He got 2 years left on the contract. What do you know about Jalen Tolbert? You got that inside information.
So obviously I watched him since he came in as a rookie. Very disappointing rookie season. He did not adapt well coming from college to the NFL. And it showed up his rookie season. But man, did they absolutely love him his second year last year. Like Dak Prescott was talking highly of him. CeeDee Lamb was talking highly of him, to the point where he showed some value. Again, he had to fight Gallup and Cooks for the roster, but realistically, Gallup's going to be gone. He's going to be traded away. His cap is too high. You're still going to Brandon Cooks unless someone's going to offer a trade value. Cooks is going to be there. And you got CeeDee Lamb. Tolbert will be an amazing wide receiver 3 in this offense, and he's only getting better. He is, even if he's not on my team at the moment, I'm putting him on taxi if I can, hold him a little bit longer, depending on how your taxi squad works. But he's definitely on my team for sure. I have him in majority of my leagues.
Tight ends on this list, 23 or younger. Both of them are 23 from Green Bay, Luke Musgrave and Tucker Kraft, but we also have 22-year-old Michael Mayer. These guys all have 3 years left on their contract. I personally like Mayer a lot. I thought he was kind of like baby Gronk, coming in. And if you're in a startup right now, it's a perfect recipe because Michael Mayer kind of disappointed. I think he was a coach inactive the last game or two. He's somebody who probably you're not going to be able to make a trade and get this player on the low. I don't think people have really given up on him yet. Especially with all the uncertainty quarterback there for Las Vegas this year. But Michael Mayer, for me, I have a big vote of confidence in him. I'm itching to start another startup so I can draft Michael Mayer and make this round 2, run it back with him. Do you like him too, Steve?
I like him. I give Musgrave a little bit more, but Michael Mayer was obviously a great college tight end. Sometimes it takes a while for some of these college tight ends to come in, and you might be able to get him as a buy low if you get somebody who felt like they were burned, in their rookie draft. But realistically, these are great guys you should be drafting that you could probably get at a good value.
Thank you for watching this IDP Guys video. If you like this content and you want more fantasy football content, click here. If you enjoyed this video and you want to see more videos to help you master your IDP league, click here to subscribe.